We haven't even argued once this week yet.
Yeah, no.
Have you?
No.
Nah, not really. Just a drunken dispute.
What happened?
Grace has been a dick.
We can't really... Oh, you kill me, Ash. You kill...
I'm sorry, but the women in the experiment are making the rest of us look really bad. And the lack of accountability and the lack of common sense is really shocking. First off, you have Maeve saying to Joe, I need 5 minutes. He gives her 5 minutes and then she's upset because, I don't even know whether he's coming back. And then you have Grace. Thank God they showed the clip, because had they not shown the clip, then we wouldn't have the context behind what happened with Ashley. The fact that she laughed and then turned around and used it against him and decided to play victim to that situation and accuse him of playing victim doesn't make sense. And then Julia Ruth. In the experiment, you're asked what you're looking for. Why didn't you tell them you wanted someone who was 6 feet and above? Why didn't you tell them that? Why did you not tell them that you wanted someone who was very tall? They could have found you that. And also, April girl, what's up with you? How are you suddenly upset that this man lacks the intelligence that you need? Why didn't you tell them that I'm a very intelligent girl? Whatever you match me with, I want a highly intelligent guy. Why not ask for that? Anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight UK, Season 10, Episode 19. So we start a new week, and obviously there's going to be the drama from last week. First up, we have the girls. Everybody else is happy in their apartments. You have, suddenly you have Lisha and Reese, they're boxing, they're in a good space. Davide and Kia, they're always in a very happy space. You have, Abigail teaching John how to dance. That was cute. So you have Leah and Lee sit down and sort of debrief. And Lee says to Leah, we had the question come up about which couple won't last. And everybody said Devani and Julia Ruth, because obviously she's saying she's not attracted to him. Nothing is happening. And I'm surprised that Leah didn't say she sort of gagged when I brought up the fact that Devani said she's perfect. So then it came out that, Julia Ruth has been lying to everyone. Apparently, Devani told Lee aside that, we have been physically intimate. So now Lee is upset and she's in her feelings because she feels betrayed by Julia Ruth because Julia Ruth has lied to her. And it's like, she's lied to everyone, girl. Don't worry. She's lied to every single person in the experiment. So you're not the only one. It's time for people to hold her to account. I said this before. I said the moment Sarah or Stephen leave, Julia Ruth is going to be the main villain. And here we are in her era. She's doing these TikToks, she's doing interviews and trying to justify her actions, but it's a bit too late. Anyway, Devani says, he feels disrespected because they had an agreement that they wouldn't discuss it, but she's been going behind his back, which she has. We saw her say she uses her toys and she locks him out. So the idea that she has the audacity to go about and say whatever she wants to everybody else. And then the moment Devani opens his mouth, he is now the villain. I do not get it. She said, he broke her trust by revealing it to the cameras. They had agreed that they would sit down, have a conversation and get on the same page before they talked about it with anybody else. And it's like, I really don't buy it. I don't buy it. I think she was going to continue to use this man as a human toy until the experiment ended and then see what the temperatures out is like on the outside. If people really like them, then she would stay with him. If not, then she would have an excuse for dumping him. Bailey and Rebecca, apparently they fell out. They're not in the best of spaces because they spent the night in different apartments. Bailey found out that, Rebecca had said Joe is her type. And so he was in his feelings because she told him that if you ever said that about me, I would definitely not be with you. So he expected her to do the same. So the audacity for her to set standards for him or set boundaries and then not follow those boundaries. I get why he's upset. I really do get why he's upset. And I 100% support him because I think she was wrong. You have her crying, saying, she feels very upset because she never meant to upset Bailey. She really likes him and cares about him. It's the first time we've seen cracks into their relationship, which now makes sense that they actually have conflict. They actually do talk about a lot more things than just giggling and sitting on the couch and holding hands. So I was at least impressed that there was conversations taking place and they were sort of reaching some sort of agreement, or they were solving problems and sort of setting boundaries in their relationship. Nelly and Steven. Nelly's in her feelings because everyone criticized their connection. Everybody feels like Steven likes her more than she likes him, and he's doing everything wrong just because he knows he can get away with it. Is that a surprise? No. She and her insecurities that are not healed are the reason why they're in this situation. Because had she been healed, she would have set boundaries with him and told him, if you're not going to follow these boundaries, then we're done. But she hasn't healed herself, and this is why they are where they are. And so maybe she needs to go home, and probably watching herself on TV will teach her a thing or two about how she behaves in relationship and allow her to be the best version of herself. Maeve is in her room. She's upset because she says that, she sent Joe a message because he hadn't responded. He initially said he was going away for one night. He's eventually gone away for 2 nights. So she feels some type of way. And personally, I don't think that's the reason. I think she feels some type of way because of the fact that they had the clash before he left, and she wasn't able to repair that. And now she's wondering, did I go too far? I even said it when the expert said to her, you need to express yourself how you feel when you feel it. And I said, this is going to backfire. And here we are. Ashley and Grace, they were sort of joking. I thought they were in a very good space because they were saying, we're very happy. Everybody else is sort of going left. But, they are in this happy space and things seem to be going well for them. You had Grace sort of trying to suss out the situation with Joe. Kudos to Ashley, because he said, I'm not going to tell Grace anything because I'm sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. But at the same time, I know if I tell Grace about the conversation that I had with Joe, she's going to run and tell Maeve. And I don't want that mess. So I'm happy that he was able to hold his ground, regardless of the fact that I think production was pushing him to say, just tell her, just tell her. And he must have stuck to his word. So I'm happy he did that. We finally have Bailey and Rebecca sit down for a conversation. And, good for them that they stood their ground, because you had, Bailey speak up and say, you told me you were setting these boundaries. I respected those boundaries. So for me, it shows zero respect if you go and do the same thing that you told me I'm not allowed to do. If you're going to say don't do this, then don't do it yourself. You can't tell me not to do something and then you go ahead and you do that. I love that he used an example and he said, how would you have felt had I gone to this thing and turned around and said, oh, my type is so and so. And I think that's the moment that Rebecca realized that, oh, actually, I have no way of getting out of this because I did exactly what I told him not to do. So they apologized. They made up, and it was really cute. I love that she apologized. So that was important, that somebody apologized. You then have Maeve go and speak to Grace because, she is very upset and in her feelings. She rang Joe and he said he needed time, and so she was upset that every time she meets someone, they always sort of draw away after some time. And it's like, you should watch yourself how you react when you are upset. This is why maybe guys are being put off, because no one wants to have to tackle that monster and nobody has the depth or the bandwidth to deal with it. Because at the end of the day, her conflict management is really bad. And I think this is why the guys are put off. You can see Joe, the first time she did it, you were sort of taken aback. And then now she's done it again, I think, and he's realized, well, this is who she is. It wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a glitch in the system. This is who she is as a person. And so Ashley was trying to console her and sort of saying, if he doesn't want anything to do with her, he needs to tell her, he needs to or maybe he's sort of overwhelmed and is trying to put the brakes on this thing because he thinks it's going too fast. Whatever is happening, I wish we didn't get to see it. I wish Maeve had actually told Grace what happened before Joe went off and why Joe possibly left, because she made it feel like he just out of the blue just woke up one morning and said, I'm leaving, when we all know they had a clash, they had a disagreement before he left. Anyway, the couples are then sent envelopes by the experts. It's love-hate week, so they have to list 3 things they dislike and 3 things they love about their partner. And it's like, there are some people who are going to find it like a walk in the park, and then there are some people who are going to struggle because it's going to be very difficult. First up, we had Kia and Davide. They're going to find it easygoing. And so you had Kia say to Davide, I hate that you give more to others than you give to us, and it's because I think they're constantly trying to play mediator and referee, and maybe I feel like it's guilt because they're doing very well and everybody else seems to be crumbling, and so I think this is why they sort of feel guilty and are sort of always trying to help everyone else come up and be in the same place as them. Abigail and John is you don't believe in yourself. That was John. And you had Abigail say she's been down by a lot of people. So that has broken her confidence in herself. And he said, I wish you could see you the way I see you. So she says being around this man is helping her sort of grow her confidence and is changing her to be the person that she's always wanted to be. I think those two couples are doing very well. I really love it for them. Then we have April and Leo. You had Leo say, I hate the brutality of your honesty. And I think she is. She's brutally honest at times. And at times you don't always have to be brutally honest because you can also end up hurting somebody's feelings and you cannot come across as very disrespectful. So I love that they were able to have that conversation and reach an understanding about that. You had April say to Leo, I hate that you're not very inquisitive. And it's like, this man, sadly, his level of intellect is not on par to her. And I wish she had asked for that because she was given the shell that she wants, but the container is empty. And so now it's a matter of her asking, do I want the contents of the container or do I want the shell? And I don't know. She's saying that, looks is not enough. And so I don't know how they're going to work that one out. Leah and Lee, you comment on how you had Lee say, you comment on how good looking other people are. And so there is now an understanding that it's not in a way that is being flirty. It's not in a way that someone is trying to explore a relationship with somebody else, but it's just a comment that is made that might upset the other person. And so it's them sort of reaching an understanding that it's unacceptable in them as a couple and they need to find a way forward to sort of bridge that gap, which is, hey, if it works for the two of them, we love it. Reese and Lisha, that was interesting. You had Reese say you start unnecessary arguments. And apparently it seems like she made him breakfast and then whatever happened, she blew off. And then she then eventually clarified that, well, I was upset that you didn't butter my toast. And they asked her that, so if I had buttered your toast, then we wouldn't have had the disagreement we had. And she said yes. And it's like, girl, be serious for real. Be for real. Anyway, her argument was you're not spontaneous because apparently they have sex. Same time, same position, the same whatever. So she wants spontaneity and I don't know whether he's going to be able to give her that. He said he thought they were doing very well, so he doesn't understand where this has come from. And it's like, well, as long as the two of you can recognize that and move on. Nelly and Stephen, you had Nelly say you don't like me as much as I like you. And he said yes. He said, yes, that's the truth. And so I don't know how much more he can give her for her to see that maybe this might not be her guy. She also complained that he's not very romantic. And it's like, if he really liked you as much as you like him, then it would be easy for him to be romantic. Maybe this is him showing you that he doesn't care about you as much as you do. Stephen on his part said, I hate that you always have to ask for affection. For me, it gives me the ache. If I have to ask you for affection, then maybe you're not my guy. Why should I be asking you for affection? Yes, I know people have cheated on her and whatever, but someone can still be affectionate and cheat on you. Have the confidence and the self-love to sort of remove yourself from situations and to set boundaries of what you want and what you do not want. I don't know why she constantly has to beg for stuff. You then had Devani go and have a conversation with Bailey. I assume production arranged this. And it seems, well, you found out that she's been telling everyone that, she doesn't fancy Devani. I think Devani assumed that since they were having sex, things were good. But apparently she's been telling everyone, he's not her type. He never will be her type. And so he was saying maybe she's embarrassed to be with me. And it's like, whether she's embarrassed or not, there's a way to treat someone without being disrespectful. So I don't respect her at all for what she's done to him. I wish she had been honest and she had just broken it off. But I think she wants to be on TV for as much as she can. And this is why she's pacifying him with sex. Grace and Ashley were next. So you had Ashley say, I hate you don't understand my humor. And she complained, you only do it, when other people are there, you only do it to impress other people, and you don't take accountability for when you do or say something wrong. Then it came up, there was an incident where production were asking them questions, and he answered the question, and everybody laughed, including Grace herself. And yet now she's using it in the question to say, I hate that your initial reaction to dispute is to assume it's something I did wrong. And so he asked, for example, he said, oh, when we were asked about this, you said, it was my fault. And he said, but it was a joke. You laughed, I laughed, everybody laughed. So when did it suddenly turn from that to suddenly being an issue whereby we're having to sort of blame each other? Grace, for me, is a champion for a cause that doesn't want her to be their champion. I don't want her to be a champion for feminists because she's really making us look bad. As much as I don't like to say I'm a feminist, I think she is looking for a way to come out as the victim in this situation. I think these girls in this season really want to come out as victims. And so they're doing everything to tarnish the guys, regardless of whether they're wrong or right, in a bad light, which I don't love. You had Davide and Key, they went to a sort of a sanctuary where he was able to see some otters because apparently Davide really loves otters. He was so ecstatic. He was like a little kid in a candy store. It was really cute to see that they really listen to one another and they really try and support one another and make each other as comfortable as they can be. Davide said he loves the fact that Kia allows him to be himself. I can just be myself without being judged or fear of being judged. So cute for them. Ashley and Leo, we need to pack up sticks. We need to go home because, she said to him, I love that you're very tactile. He then was questioning what does tactile mean. He didn't understand what it means. And then when he was asked, what's yours? I love that you have booty. And it's like, oh God, this girl really has what she wants in the shell, but she doesn't have the contents. And so it's a matter of her maybe encouraging him to read books and maybe helping him being more inquisitive, as she wants someone who's inquisitive, and see if they can grow that. Otherwise they need to pack sticks and go home, which is really sad because she seems like a highly intelligent girl. She looks like someone who wants someone who's going to challenge her intellectually, and sadly, as much as he's able to satisfy everything else intellectually, he's not, and she should have asked for that. Bailey and Rebecca, they seem to be in a very good space for them. They seem to be in a good space because he said, I didn't know what to choose between booty and boobs. And then eventually he said, I love your humor and energy, because she was thinking it was going to be very superficial. So to see that he actually has the depth and decided to be more serious about it, she loved that. She went, I love your massive sense of humor. They really seem to really thrive and sort of bounce off one another. I wish we got to see more of this side of their connection other than just seeing the little clips of them sitting on the couch, because it doesn't make sense to the rest of us. Julia Ruth then finally went and had a conversation with Devani, and she said, we made a pact never to talk about sex until we were ready. And there was this back and forth, and him saying, you make it seem as though you're embarrassed of me and as though you're not attracted to me. And she said, well, I'm not. And you said, well, if you're not attracted to me, why are we having sex? Why are we being physically intimate? Why not keep to our own corners and leave it at that? Why would you see the need to be physically intimate? Why? And she said, well, I'm not attracted to you because of height. And it's like, girl, make it make sense. You could have told the experts that you wanted someone very tall. They would have found you someone tall. Or not, they would have just left you. Maybe you were very vague in regards to what you wanted because you wanted to be cast on the show, because it seems like you're really fame hungry. I'm sorry to say that, but you are coming across as someone who's there for clout. It seems like she's done a couple of shows before whereby she's been trying to sort of have a breakout moment, and finally she has. And I don't know whether it's going to work out very well for her. I love the little cute date between Lee and Leah. They went on a date where they were I assume it's on the River Thames or somewhere, where they were in this little boat. And so it was cute to see them just sit there and be vulnerable. And it seems like whatever conversation she had with the experts has allowed her to open up, because she says she's being more vulnerable. And, the questions were, Leah said, I love that you make me feel safe. So she feels safe around Leah. And Leah was saying, I love it when you make me laugh. And so I love that for them. They really seemed cute. I love their date as well. So hopefully they work. I root for love. Grace then decided to set up this painting date with Ashley. I think she knew she had screwed the pooch, so she was trying to make amends. And sadly, her amends didn't work because I think Ashley is at his wit's end. I'm happy that he's finally stood up and said, enough is enough. Because he said to her, it seems like I'm constantly having to protect my character because you're constantly labeling me as certain things. And so for her to then try and say, oh, you don't take responsibility, good for him for walking away and leaving her to look like a fool. Sadly for her, she's lost a guy that would have given her the world because of how much he was willing to make the changes to make this relationship work. Sadly, she wasn't willing to also accept that. He was willing to give her the love, but she wasn't ready to receive the love. And I'm happy he stormed off. There is no girl. There were rumors that he might be dating Sarah. I don't think so because he's constantly doing TikToks with Dean, unless Dean is at acceptance with that. And even if Dean is at acceptance, I don't think the Sarah that she showed us is ideal for him. I think he would have been better off with someone maybe with the personality of Nelly, because he's always very affectionate, very caring, and very compassionate and empathetic. But I don't know how long that would last, though, because with time that would wear thin. Anyway, Nelly goes on a date with Steven. He was trying to be romantic. And his loves were, he loves that she's very caring and she puts his thoughts and feelings first. And she does come across as very caring. I love it for her. She comes across as very caring. Sadly, I'm not sure whether the guy she's with is the one. She says she loves that you don't care about what other people think and that you're very funny. We haven't seen his funny side. I think Julia Ruth said he's very funny as well in an interview. I wish we got to see the funny side of him because we haven't yet seen that side. So do I think they'll work? No, I think it's just them pushing it for as long as they can until, they eventually write leave or the show ends. Joe then finally came back. He came back and Maeve was in her feelings because she hasn't seen him. So he sat down with her and said, being in the experiment, they've been in a bubble. So he's been stressing about what will happen after they leave the experiment. I think his mom coming and saying this to him and her friend coming and saying this to him and then him leaving the experiment and going back home and seeing whatever he's familiar with and asking himself, do I want to leave this for this woman? Plus the clashes they've had, I think is why they're where they are. For her to kick off and say, I need 5 minutes because you've had all this time to sort of sort out what you're feeling. I need time to sort it out. And it's like, this is not going to work. This really is not going to work. Sadly, as much as I want a guy for Maeve, Maeve needs to do the work and heal herself before she finds someone. Anyway, it sounds like we're in a therapy session. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 18. Bye, everyone.